Good evening, viewers. This is 7 p.m. in the locality of Abambui that hosts a population of about 17,000 people in the Tuba subdivision northwest region. The headlines: 4 billion francs CFA is the amount that the government of Cameroon grants to subsidize patients suffering from kidney failure. This was revealed by the Minister of Health during a meeting in order to reassure these patients on Tuesday, January 19, 2021 at the Yaoundé General Hospital. Security forces in Mali dispersed a protest in Bamako Wednesday as they fired tear gas at dozens of protesters during an authorized march against the French military rule in the country. And in sports, the match day 2 of 3 in Group A took place Wednesday with the intermediate Lions of Cameroon hitting the grounds with their main contenders, the Eagles of Mali. The match, which ended in a draw, would have given an express entry into the quarterfinals of either Cameroon or Mali had defeated the other. These stories will be yours in a minute. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening once more. 4 billion francs CFA is the amount that the government of Cameroon grants to subsidize patients suffering from kidney failure. This was revealed by the Minister of Public Health during a meeting in order to reassure these patients on Tuesday, January 19, 2021 at the Yaoundé General Hospital. Details in this report. Patients with kidney failure in Cameroon continue to cry out. After those of Douala, Yaoundé, Bamenda on Wednesday, January 13th, the patients of Maroua erupted in the only hemodialysis center of the city house in the building of the regional hospital of the city to demand the reopening of this center that suffers from a lack of materials to take care of them. If since the advent of COVID-19, the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malashi, has focused his energies on the fight against this pandemic, the multiple strikes recorded by patients has pushed the minister to later hold a meeting on Tuesday, January 19 at the Yaoundé General Hospital. During this meeting, the minister reassured the patients on the fact that the government continues to think of them. The proof each year of subsidy of 4 billion francs CFA is made available to them for a better follow-up. He also recognized that the care of hemodialysis patients was hampered by the insufficient quality and quantity of the kit, degradation of equipment, poor functioning of the bathroom, the lack of a blood bank. Within the General Hospital, the high cost of care despite the state subsidy and the non-payment of the transplantation component in the treatment of chronic kidney failure. At the end of the discussion, the Minister of Health promised to make available as soon as possible in March 2021 about 60 new devices for the General Hospital and the placement into the field a team of technicians to examine this feasibility of constructing a borehole within the hospital into the coming days. While waiting for the materialization of the promise of Dr. Manauda Malashi, the thorny problem of the management of patients suffering from a kidney failure continues to remain a great hindrance. The National Order of Pharmacists was able to set up a new office after several years of procrastination. Dr. Frank Nana was brought by his peers at the head of this corporation last Saturday at the end of the extraordinary and elective General Assembly. Details. Dr. Frank Nana, 46, is the 10th national president of the Cameroon Pharmacists Order. He was elected by his peers after 2 days of intense work, an assembly chaired by the Secretary General of the Cameroonian Ministry of Public Health, Professor Louis Richard Njok. He replaces in this post Professor Prosper Hiak, who reached the end of his term in 2018. During his 3-year term, the new president will be accompanied by his vice president, Dr. Issa Hamajoda, and by the General Secretary, Dr. Thomas Labnet, and the Treasurer, Dr. Helen Som. In his speech, Professor Louis Richard Njok gave some recommendations to the new office, like the implementation of the universal health coverage from the first quarter of this year 2021. He also recalled the efforts made by supervision to smooth out differences and promote the holding of this assembly, which is part of a construction dynamic. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Public Health specified, with regards to an assistant judge to be increasingly young, that the order of of Pharmacies is a professional body which should be characterized by two essential concepts, ethics and deontology. According to the Vice President, Issa Hamajoda, in his speech on Cameroonian state-owned media last Monday, the electoral process has been interrupted for more than 2 years because the colleagues could no longer agree. This time, thanks to the Minister of Public Health, who is their supervisor, the various parties in conflict have finally tuned their violence for the organization of the elective General Assembly. The latter have expressed a strong desire not to leave the convention center until the council office has been elected. In addition, the elected president placed this election under the sign of reconciliation of the gathering of all pharmacies but also of the health of the population. He insisted that pharmacists' mission is to participate in pharmaceutical and health education in the fight against the illicit sale of drugs and the illegal practice of pharmacies in Cameroon. Can we say that the remedy has been found for the major wounds in the medical sector? More than to hope. It should be noted, however, that out of nearly 2,000 members of the order spread over the 10 regions of the country, more than 900 are up to date and participated in the ballot for the election of the new office, for which 9 candidates were received for this post of president. According to figures from the Minister of Commerce Luke Margwambaga Atangana, Cameroon imported between 2015 and 2018 372 billion CFA francs of pharmaceutical products. Despite this, it should be remembered that Cameroon is not immune to the illicit trade in pharmaceutical products. According to the same sources, more than 40% of the drug market escapes the official circuit. Security forces in Mali dispersed the protests in Bamako Wednesday as they fired tear gas at dozens of protesters during an authorized march against the French military's role in the country. Earlier, Bamako City Hall had banned the protests against the French rule and military, citing COVID-19 restrictions. Protesters on a motorbike convoys and also managed their way through police and red blocks. The protesters who were in a central square of the Malian capital fled before the canisters were fired. Mali has been struggling to defeat jihadist insurgents which first emerged in the north of the country in 2012 before spreading to the center and neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger. France, its former colonizer, intervened in 2013 to help drive out the jihadist force advancing on Bamako. Currently, it has 5,100 troops deployed across Africa's Sahel region as part of its anti-jihadist force Bahana, but some are disturbed by their continuous presence in this territory. More than a third of all COVID-19 patients in Africa have been in South Africa, and numbers are surging with the emergence of a new variant of the virus. But unlike some other badly hit countries in the world, South Africa is yet to start its vaccination program. This report tells us more. President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africa has so far secured 20 million doses due to be delivered in the first half of 2021. But there is no detailed timeline for a program aiming to vaccinate as many as 40 million people. South Africa has been seeking to source vaccine in 3 ways: via the World Health Organization-backed COVAX scheme, via arrangements made by the African Union, and through bilateral contacts with vaccine manufacturers. COVAX is a global initiative in which countries pool their resources to support the development of vaccines with a view to ensure that all countries receive a fair supply of effective vaccines. South Africa expects to acquire doses for around 10% of the population through COVAX, as has been told it will receive them from April through to June. The African Union established the African Vaccine Acquisition Task Team last year 2020 to source vaccine doses for the continent, but it appears the vaccines won't be available for several months. The health minister says it has a bilateral deal with the Serum Institute of India, the world's biggest vaccine maker, for 1.5 million doses. It expects to receive the first batch of 1 million doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca jab later this month and the rest in February. The country wants to vaccinate healthcare workers initially, but with the number of workers estimated at 1.2 million, the first batch doesn't look like it will be enough. There has been concerns that many poorer, less developed countries are being being left behind in the global competition to secure vaccine supplies. However, critics suggest that South Africa, as the richest country in Africa, should not be in this position. Dr. Anbam Pile, Deputy Director General at the Ministry of Health, says the country was in touch with manufacturers as far back as last September. The match day 2 of 3 in Group A took place Wednesday, January 19th, with the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon hitting the grounds with their main contenders, the Eagles of Mali. Cameroon, who took a slight possession over Mali strike in their only goal at the 6th minute through a superb header from their defender Salomon Charles Banga. The Eagles of Mali later equalized in the 12th minute through a free kick from Isaka Samake. The Mali team tried many shots at target, but the tactical Cameroonian defense stood their ground. Cameroon and Mali top Group A with 4 points each, followed by Mali that beat Zimbabwe 3-1. Zimbabwe are now out of the tournament. After winning their first match against their neighbors, the Democratic Republic of Congo will now meet Libya in yet another crucial match that will shape Group B. Niger, on the other hand, after a draw with Libya on Sunday, will meet the Red Devils of Congo. A win for either Mali, Cameroon or Burkina Faso will grant them express entry into the quarterfinals. Mali and Cameroon still remain favourite to proceed in these games. Ladies and gentlemen, this is all this edition had in store for us. Remember, up next is Le Journal de 20h. Stay tuned and have a good evening.